When TikTok came in and transformed the approach to social media, taking it away from a followers-based feed to an interest-based feed, that like really rapidly exaggerated the decline of connection and it exacerbated division like tenfold because they know that every social media platform's sole outcome or goal is to keep you on the platform consuming as long as humanly possible. So when you say in theory, oh, I want to see who I follow, you say you do, but you don't actually in terms of time spent on the platform. These statistics are not even close, like not even remotely close. You may beg for your followers back. You may hate Instagram for taking them away, whatever. Your friends don't post. And so the thing is, they need to show you this stuff, and it does, and it works. And human beings are also far more motivated. This is a recurring theme I've said that probably every episode because it's so important is that your innate programming as a human is steering the car most of the time until you become aware of your cognitive biases. And humans, we are far more motivated by the fear of loss, the fear of missing out, fear in general, which is why everything is so hyperbolic out there, so dramatic, because that sells and it will keep you watching.
One thing that I just wanted to say is like the way that I imagine on X specifically, and I think probably is the best example of like how they would love for their users to spend time on the platform. It's like you scroll, you see something that incites your emotions, and then you comment, or you see someone else's comment that you don't agree with. So you
Mhm.
reply to that comment. And then at this point, you're like fuming. You're like thinking about how can I follow up on this and like really make my point and make sure that it's clear. And then they respond back to you. And then so you respond back again. And then you're
Yes.
just sitting there waiting, hitting refresh, waiting for the next comment so that you can continue this argument with someone that you've never met and that you'll never meet.
No, that's so important that you said that because human beings, we anchor memories and connection to emotion, right? That can be good or bad. That's why trauma is actually a tool for brainwashing. Like that's been proven. CIA, major institutions have used trauma very deliberately to enact brainwashing activities. Like almost indisputable at this point, okay? So if they can elicit emotion, like good or bad, you're going to keep coming back again and again and again, which is why these algorithms will do another thing that's very dangerous is everyone has confirmation bias out of the ass because if they find out, let's say that you're a big Republican, they will not only show you Republican views, they will show you the dumbest takes on the left side so that you have such conviction in your head because all you ever see is like certainty that your opinion is correct. And you're going to find other people that are deeply there with you. You lose sight of reality because you're so deeply ingrained in what that is. And it's not an accident. It is 100% by design, whether like as an accidental consequence of free market capitalism or whether strategically designed by some bigger power. I don't know. But at the end of the day, the outcome's the exact same.
100%. And then like I saw this channel the other day. It was a YouTube channel specifically where like, okay, so some of these times like you'll see these comments and stuff on these posts and it's super insightful and like they are bots, like you've kind of pointed out. But they get people to engage. And the thing about all of this incentive that I find fascinating is like I found a page on YouTube a couple weeks ago where this whole lady's page was built upon basically being one of these bots. It's like taking this thing that she knows is insightful and that gets people riled up and that people are actually agreeing with, right? Even
Yeah.
though it's completely made up stuff, but she's going deep on that and just hammering it over and over. And it's this kind of like rage baiting thing that her whole channel's built off of, and she has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I'm like, wow, this is taking things really far because the incentive now turns into real behavior, right? To the
Yes.
bots are turning into real behavior. So just found that
So
fascinating.
dude, great connection to the story we're going to get to in a little bit too. But people have never been more starved for connection or purpose, and so both they get both through these extremes, and that's also a very dangerous thing because if you know that the alternative or how they see the alternative is either I'm part of this radical group or I'm alone, the human being is always going to pick the radical group. And so that is such a scary, scary thing. And that's also on purpose so that if we don't talk to each other or we think that everyone else is so wrong and we're so right and only our core people are right. We just don't talk and we miss out on some very obvious things. The the best thing I will say for all of this is that we have way more in common with each other almost always than we do different. And they purposely, in my opinion, they mix great points on every side and then they force people to attach to the strongest signal. Right. So anybody who I've met who like my friends in here in Canada who are like really, really liberal, they come from a very good place. I don't agree with a lot of what they say, but I know that they have good intentions and they have good hearts. And then they'll like talk crap about people who are extreme on the right. And I'm like, I know there's good in their heart too. Like you guys are just seeing the opposite side of the algorithms. You guys would probably be best friends. You guys would probably agree on like 99% of these things, but they make the one thing that is very polarizing the signal. And so you are this or you are that. And if you align with anything that's right, like you're an extremist. Like it's so stupid. It drives me mental. That's why I want to have this show to bring on like literally everyone so that
Mhm.
people can see like everyone is closer to the center. Everyone's closer to the middle. This is all theatrics. This is smoke and mirrors that we actually hate each other. The only thing that makes it real is because when you spend your entire day on this phone and you're feeling the feelings are real.
Mm.
So when you go outside your door
Mhm.
and you think this is real, you create it.
Exactly.
That's the scariest part is that everyone's like, no, but I saw this in person. It's like, did you see it or did you train your brain to find this?
Right.
Right. And Tony Robbins had the great quote on Theo Vaughn's show where he's like, he basically trained him that the example, and I recommend going to watch this, where he's basically like, whatever you train your brain to see, it'll seek out confirming information. It's called confirmation bias. It's an innate cognitive bias that all human beings have. And so this can work for in your favor if you're really positive and optimistic, or very much the other way, which is what most of the world is in right now, which is leading to a lot of this political and unrest that we're seeing.
Right on the money, man. Absolutely. We have more in common than people think. And actually, I wanted to talk about this really quickly because I think it was a few years ago, someone brought up this concept of the horseshoe theory. Have you ever
Okay.
heard of that?
No, I've not. I'm excited to see this.
So the idea is essentially that so political spectrum as a horseshoe. The theory reimagines the political spectrum not as a straight line, but rather as a horseshoe. And so
Mm.
moderate views remain in the middle, while the extremes of both the left and the right are actually closer to each other than the center.